Sup YouTube, it's Zap TCG here, and welcome back to our TCG video on my channel. On this channel, you get tons and tons of Pokemon TCG content, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the topic, is Regidrago VSTAR too good? So yeah, the reason why we're going to be talking about this video is the recent regionals that happened in Toronto. Toronto regionals with over 2,100 players, and look at this top 8, so that's kind of crazy. So that's why we have this topic. If you're enjoying content like this where we discuss specific topics in the Pokemon TCG, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. There's going to be more set reviews coming. There's going to be more battle videos coming as soon as more cards get released. So be excited for that, as well as new vlogs as well, because we're going to Birmingham regionals shortly. We're going to be going to the EOIC. We're going to be going to the Utrecht special event. So the season is far from done, and I'm going to try and showcase a lot of great aspects in the Pokemon TCG, so definitely subscribe if you haven't already. So, yeah, the question of today, is Regidrago VSTAR actually that broken? In my opinion, it is not, but it is the most versatile deck in the entire room, and the larger the metagame becomes, the better the deck actually performs. What does that actually mean? Because we can actually have 15 very crazy, powerful competitive decks that actually can win a tournament. We're in a format right now where the meta is just that versatile. And yeah, if you just take a look at, you want to attack against specific decks out there, it's going to be pretty hard because you might not even see those decks in general. For me, as an example, actually in the last two regionals, I did not see any Raging Bolt, despite it being one of the top 3 most popular decks. So just take that into account. Even though a deck seems popular, there is a high chance you don't see that deck at all because the meta is just crazy like that. And Regidrago VSTAR has a whole crazy amount of hype behind it because a lot of skillful players that have been playing for over a decade are actually navigating towards this deck and have been mastering it ever since. So I'm not surprised that a lot of people converted well with Regidrago VSTAR. We see here on this top 8, 6 Regidrago VSTAR slots. So that is kind of crazy. Calvin Connor also able to take down the entire event. So big congratulations for that. And we're going to be taking a look at why Regidrago VSTAR is so versatile. Let's just open up a list here. Here we have Regidrago VSTAR. So this is a list playing all the different dragon type Pokemon that could be relevant. You could be playing even more, but these are the most played ones. So we have Goodra VSTAR with a Rolling Iron. That means you can have 80 reduction coming into you while also slapping 200 damage. And Regidrago VSTAR was a card released in Silver Tempest. Didn't see that much play. Ever since Steel Mask Ogerpon came into the scene, the deck is pretty much broken. We are going to be talking about how much of an impact Regidrago VSTAR actually made during the World Championships, where the deck first debuted as a Rockstar archetype, and then all the way until the recent tournaments here. So it has been dominating the scene for at least 4 months straight, and it is, for me personally, a tier S deck. Why is it that hard to counter? Well, the reason is that it has no weakness. It is a dragon type Pokemon, meaning Regidrago VSTAR has 0 weakness. The only thing that is going to be leaving Regidrago VSTAR in the dust is a very aggressive turbo deck. For example, a Roaring Moon EX that can attack from turn 1, a Miraidon EX, same story, or a Raging Bolt. Those can actually stop down a Regidrago in its path because they're a little bit faster, and they, with Pokemon Catcher by their sides or Prime Catcher or whatever, they could surprise the only Regidrago VSTAR in play. But even with that, they come packed with Radiant Charizard, which is the perfect one-price Pokemon to deal with those aggressive decks. And definitely in combination with stuff like Iono, you can definitely win yourself some games. Also, the cool thing is that you can always hide behind a Cleffa. So that means if the opponent is not playing Iron Bundle or any Pokemon Catcher or Prime Catcher, you're just giving them a one-prizer, which doesn't matter in the long run. So that's why the deck is so good. In the beginning, you can be fetching them one-prizers, and in the late game, you can also attack with a one-prizer in combination with Iono. With that being said, the Apex Dragon reminds me a lot of Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX, being able to have all the versatility with attackers in the discard pile. You copy-paste a Dragon-type Pokemon's attacks, and you can just instantly use it with Apex Dragon. You get energies into play through the means of Teal Mask Ogerpon, a couple of them with the Teal Dance, and then you E-switch those energies onto your Regidrago V, attach the fire energy of the turn, and you're done. Very easy to pull off, definitely with a lot of draw power with Research and Squawk ability by your side. The cool thing is, as mentioned, the versatility. We already talked about Goodra, but there's way more than that. There's Kyurem, which is a very scary Pokemon. For setup-based decks, you can just slap 110 damage to 3 targets. I know, that seems ridiculous, and you do have to discard your energies, but it doesn't matter because you can always get them back through the means of the Legacy Star that Regidrago VSTAR comes back with. You can get 2 resources back from the discard pile while discarding the top 7 cards of your deck, which means you can get back energy switches, you can get back Switch or Prime Catcher, you can even get back your Cologne, which is the bread and butter for a crazy Kyurem swipe. You can use the canceling Cologne on top of gusting up that mana fee, and then even if the opponent has mana fee, their board is wiped. Another crazy attacker is Dragapult EX with the Phantom Dive. Regidrago VSTAR is one of the decks that does it best with the Phantom Dive, being able to get it off as soon as turn 2, very consistently might I add, and slapping 200 on the active and spreading 6 damage counters wherever you feel, can set up crazy KOs, definitely if you combine that either with a Kyurem sweep or even set up KOs. For example, you could be spreading some damage counters on the Charizard EX and finish it off with a Giratina VSTAR Lost Impact attack of 280. 280, the perfect numbers to deal with V-Stars. You could also think about doing that against stuff like a Lugia VSTAR or a Palkia VSTAR. And then we also talked about the newcomers in the Regidrago VSTAR deck as the Alolan Exeggutor allows you to flip a coin. We recently saw it in the finals as well, where the Alolan Exeggutor EX is the star of the show. If you flip a coin and if it heads, you just knock out the opponent's active basic. If it tails, you actually knock out a basic Pokemon on the opponent's bench. And that's very cool because you don't need to sacrifice any energies to do so. Also, there's Haxorus if the opponent has a special energy attached, very good against stuff like Terapagos based decks, or even against Lugia decks that are not careful to slap down their mist energy, and even then, this actually list comes back with Temple of Sinnoh. Some lists do not come back with the Temple of Sinnoh, but that being said, that's another Dragon-type Pokemon, and also comes back with an attack that allows you to slap a solid 230 damage output, and the only thing you have to do is discard the top 3 cards of your deck. So that many different attacks all into one deck is just crazy. For every situation out there, you could be using an attack. So that's why the deck is so good. Pair that up with draw power like Squack ability, Grasping Draw of a Cleffa, Mew EX with the restart ability, and if you get knocked out, you have the access of using the Phasandipity. The deck is pretty much perfect. There's a 55 skeleton-based deck about this that almost every Regidrago VSTAR player plays. So the deck core has been established and it has been performing ever since. Whether you're playing 3 Fire Energies and then, or maybe 2 Fire Energies and a Superior Energy Retrieval, whether you're playing Jamming Tower and of course, a Temple of Sinnoh, whether you're cutting down one of the Dragon-type attackers left and right, it is all possible, but it depends on the meta, and that's why Regidrago is time and time again being able to re-established, because you can predict the meta and just say, oh, I need Goodra, I don't need Goodra. Oh, I need Haxorus, I don't need Haxorus, because the meta is always continuously evolving, and with that much versatility, you don't have to be afraid of any deck in the format. Don't believe me? Well, we're going to be taking a look at Trainer Hill data right now, which you see on the screen. So this is based on all the most successful decks that have been performing currently in the Pokemon TCG, and this is going to be the Surging Sparks format, the format we're in currently. So look at that data here. We see here that the data, it's a little bit, you can trust the data left and right. It depends on your own playstyle or the tech cards, because if you're playing Hisuian Goodra or not, your Ancient Box matchup will become better. But most of this entire line is all around the 50-50, which means even bad players get results with Regidrago because you just have that much versatility. And that means against any deck out there, you can have a game plan. If you're up against an Ancient Box, a Cerulege, a Charizard, an Iron Thorns Dragapult, a Gardevoir EX, something like a Goldango, for example. Even like you could see, and this entire line is almost all 50-50s. I think the worst matchup would be, I would say, Raging Bolt, but you can still win that if you play perfectly. And Cloth Terapagos also seems to be one of the more difficult ones, but all the rest is around the 50-50. Snorlax block, it all comes down on your playstyle, or if you're playing Alolan Exeggutor, if you're playing something like a Penny, could also really help out this archetype. But in general, Regidrago VSTAR doesn't have to be afraid of any matchup in the entire format. And you see that much versatility. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 decks out there that I personally would not be surprised that they ever won a regional. So we're in a format right now that is ridiculously versatile. And since Regidrago VSTAR has all the answers, it doesn't need to be afraid. Other decks out there need to be afraid of, oh, this deck is going to get more popular, I need to attack this and that. But Regidrago VSTAR comes back with all that versatility all into the same deck. So that's why Regidrago VSTAR is that good. And that's also the reason why a lot of top players out there are picking Regidrago VSTAR as the deck of choice during the last couple of months. Okay. Let's just give a little example. There's a player out there on the top of my head that I really want to be talking about here is, go to players here. Brent Donaldson is a person on top of my head that has been rocking Regidrago VSTAR. Look at that. They have literally earned $23,000 with Regidrago VSTAR alone. If we're taking a look at Regidrago VSTAR in a deck as itself, it actually won $500,000 worth of prize money ever since its release. That's kind of crazy. It's so many placements for this. Now that I think about it, Brent Tennyson is actually the most successful Regidrago VSTAR player. That's why we're actually mentioning that. So look at all those placements. The deck has established a name in the Pokemon TCG. So you might think, how do we counter a deck that is that versatile and doesn't have a single weakness? Like, you can be playing, oh, I'm playing Miraidon right now, but the problem is you're having a fighting weakness, which means decks like Cloth can just instantly one-shot you. So this is one of the decks that doesn't come back with a clear weakness. I think the only weakness it has is that decks that are faster than you. And currently we're in a format right now where there's a lot of slower-paced decks out there. I'm thinking about Charizard, Gardevoir, Dragapult. They all need some time to develop, to set up. And that's where Regidrago VSTAR just shines. If it just gets that one additional turn to transform into a Drago VSTAR and then copy-paste the attacks, you're going to be winning a ton of games. So that's why Regidrago VSTAR is that good. I want to hear your opinion down below in the comment section, how you personally feel about the success of Regidrago VSTAR and the thing you see on the screen right now, where there were 8 Regidrago VSTARs in the top 8. Let yourself go wild in the comments. Let's have a discussion left and right. Are you going to be happy that Regidrago VSTAR actually rotates on April 11th? That's going to be the last... Yeah, it's going to be the first day with a brand new format where the rotation has happened. As mentioned, all the F block cards get rotated out of the format. I did a separate video about which cards we're going to be losing, which decks are going to be surviving. So definitely check those videos out if you're interested in the Pokemon TCG rotation part of it. But you're going to have to be wary of the fact is that Regidrago VSTAR will still be around for 3 months, and it's going to be dominating tournaments because it has the most versatile arsenal of all of the decks in the format. So on top of all of that, let's just take a little bit of a look at an example. The World Championships is where it's all started for Regidrago VSTAR. So it didn't perform all that well because there was, now that I think about it, there were actually 4 slots at the World Championships Regidrago VSTAR. I personally did not want for Regidrago VSTAR. I actually knew that Regidrago VSTAR was going to be crazy popular at Worlds, so last minute I decided to switch my testing all the way from Regidrago VSTAR, which I actually had built, all the way into Lugia, because Lugia is one of the few decks that has a great matchup against Regidrago VSTAR. They could swing you with a Temple, but it doesn't always work that way. I actually got 21st at Worlds, which was super nice, and that's the Lugia that I have been rocking with the entire season, so that has been treating me well. But there's a lot of decks out there that have trouble with Regidrago VSTAR, definitely setup based decks like Gardevoir or Charizard, for example. So that's where it started for Regidrago. Regidrago at the World Championships actually was 27% in the day 2. So very scary numbers already, and that set the tone for the rest of the season. After the World Championships, we actually had our first regionals over in Baltimore, where we did see that Regidrago VSTAR was still around with 2 slots in the top 8. There was a lot of Lugia, but also a little bit of Guardy. Guardy was actually able to win the entire event with the Henry Chow reinvented Guardy list. So let's take a look at the statistics. Regidrago, the day 2 meta conversion, the most played deck in day 2 with 70% meta share. that's kind of crazy again. So after Baltimore happened, we actually were able to see in Europe here the power of Regidrago, but in that sense, it didn't get its crazy performance. Here, Terrapagos was the big winner of those series of events in Dortmund, where Regidrago VSTAR was only the 4th most popular deck and also did not convert into top 8 at all. So people thought, oh, the meta has cooled down a little bit. Regidrago VSTAR is still around, but is not that dominant anymore. And that's where the meta really picked on to stuff like Bennett with item block. And Regidrago VSTAR was not prepared for that Bennett item blocking shenanigans. So yeah, that was actually a deck that was introduced over in Dortmund. Actually was around, but at Dortmund it did really well, so that Bennett shenanigans, and it actually continued on. Then we have Joinville Regionals over in Brazil, where Regidrago also was not around, and Clove showed his first appearance. So as you see, Regidrago VSTAR, we're going to be taking a look at the meta conversion rate here. 4th most played deck, actually 3rd, tied with Terrapagos, 3rd most played deck in the Day 2 meta. Moving from Joinville, let's go to the special event in Lima, where Regidrago VSTAR also still was not around. So you see where this is taking a trend here. Regidrago VSTAR was not even doing all that well. So you might think to yourself, oh, Regidrago VSTAR is the most dominant deck you've ever seen. It did really well at Worlds, did well at Baltimore, and then it slowed down in popularity. So it was not that dominant, but then we go to Louisville, where Regidrago VSTAR got another top 8 placement with the 5th placement, and we also see that Regidrago actually got a 3rd most popular deck right there. And you do see the more and more that Raging Bolt slows down or actually lowers in popularity, the better Regidrago VSTAR becomes. So what will we see here is that worst enemy for Regidrago VSTAR are turbo-based decks, so I do expect an increase in stuff like Roaring Moon, for example, stuff like Miraidon, and stuff, for example, like the Raging Bolts. Those are going to be the immediate reaction to what we see in the last couple of regionals, definitely in that Toronto regionals, where we see 6 of the slots of the top 8 being Regidrago VSTAR. Now we're going to be going to the Lille regionals. This is actually a regionals again with 3 slots in that top 8. And if we take a look at the astrometrical cut with Nina there thrown in there, we have 4 of those Regidragos in total. So you see a lot of Bennett as well doing well. But if we take a look at the statistics right here, we see that Regidrago VSTAR was the 2nd most popular deck again. So it's always on people's radar. James Cox winning that event entirely. Cool little note here that I actually got 6th place with Lugia. So also nice to mention right here, as my season is going pretty well, if I say so myself. So also let me know in the comments down below how your current season is going. How's your threshold going for your CP? Are you happy with your results currently? Are you going to be making it to Worlds, or did you already give up on the chase? Let me know all that in the comments. With that being said, Regidrago VSTAR winning an event, and that's where Regidrago VSTAR will be winning way more events than ever before. Regidrago VSTAR top 4 in the Philippines. That's cool. We also see here in Singapore that Regidrago VSTAR 2 slots in the top 8 right there, and it was the 3rd most popular deck. Then, with that being said, we are gonna go to the Gdansk regionals, where our Alberto Conti got his deserved regional finish here with Regidrago VSTAR. And Regidrago VSTAR is definitely destroying the metagame, as another winning regional was done by the Regidrago VSTAR deck. 3rd place as well. Lots of Bennett in that tournament. 3rd most popular deck overall. With that, we're going to go all the way into the special event in Buenos Aires over in Argentina, where a lot of Dusknoir variants popped up out of nowhere, and Regidrago VSTAR was never to be seen again, with only being the 5th most popular deck. So it has some downswings sometimes, but that was also an event with only 275 players. Now we're going to the first IC of the season, won by Regidrago VSTAR, and you see that it was the most played deck in day 2 of that first IC with 1,800 players. Regidrago VSTAR having 3 slots in the top 8, and if we make that even further into a top 16, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the top 16. So the conversion rate was off the charts. All right, then after the crazy adventure over in Brazil. We make ourselves to the Indonesia on the other side of the world, and we see here Regidrago having 2 slots in the top 8. And it also showed up at the most popular, the 4th most popular deck. So it is always everywhere. It is a tier A, sometimes even a tier S meta deck. Sacramento Regionals rolled around, and Regidrago VSTAR did have a crazy performance with, yeah, if you see that, 5 of those slots in the top 8 are actually a Regidrago VSTAR. Then Miraidon actually was able to win the entire event, with the Miraidon finals in the happening as well. So turbo-based decks are the only answer to Regidrago VSTAR as I currently see right now. Sometimes Control could win as well, but now with Alolan Exeggutor, that's a little bit less the case. And Goldengo also made its appearance right here with the Togekiss, which was super cool to be seen at the Sacramento Regionals. Stuttgart Regionals recently happened as well. And there was everyone playing Cloth. It was very crazy to see that Cloth had a crazy conversion rate. We see most played decks in day 2, Regidrago VSTAR with a crazy conversion rate again, and Cloth being there as the 3rd most popular deck in day 2, which makes me think, what the hell happened that Cloth got so popular that we only see it right now? Yeah, there's not too great for Regidrago VSTAR, however, because Cloth has that crazy good matchup against Regidrago VSTAR. We're going to be continuing on here in Bogota, and in Bogota we saw Regidrago VSTAR winning another event. I think that's like the 4th or the 5th, I think the 4th event where Regidrago VSTAR took it down. 2 slots in the top 8, and if we're taking the top 4, 2 slots in the top 4. Then in Perth, happened not too long ago, Gardevoir was able to win, but look at all that, Regidrago VSTAR, 6th place, 7th place, and I don't know if there was an asymmetrical cut, but Regidrago VSTAR dominance continues on with the most played deck with 23% meta share in day 2 of Perth. And then last but not least, Toronto Regionals, and that's where this magic happened, where we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Regidrago VSTAR decks in the asymmetrical cuts. Yo, statistically, there was day 2. Currently, it's a crazy conversion rate, but that will be introduced when we see more lists. But this is going to be way more represented. 21% meta share for Regidrago VSTAR, and in this meta, Regidrago just thrives. We don't see a lot of turbo-based decks. Now that I think about it, I see none. I don't see Roaring Moon. I don't see Raging Bolt, and I also don't see Miraidon, which are yeah, and also even Cloth. What happened to those? If we take a look at the day 1 meta share, Cloth was there, Raging Bull was there, Miraidon was there, but they all flopped. I don't know if it's because of Charizard or anything else, but it didn't perform too well, and that's where Regidrago VSTAR ran away with the tournament, and we see this result. So yeah, that's a mouthful. Regidrago VSTAR, currently the BDIF, and I taught you the entire history from A to Z, and why it's currently still dominating tournaments, why it's that hard to counter, because of the crazy variety in the game right now. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. Let your opinion go wild in the comment section below. Let's just get a discussion started. Do you feel that Regidrago VSTAR will win the next event as well? And is there anything else besides turbo-based decks that we can play in order to counter Regidrago VSTAR? Let me know down below. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG epicness. Peace!